welcome you all with love. And we start with a prayer of merging the heavens and the earth, which is key to everything. Hashem Yikud Kedushabrihu Ushihimte. Be Ilo Artin Vayet, Shamiki Kavoke. Pidosh Hashem Kusrael Kolam. Some of you may have noted that I've written a 21-page paper talking about the cycles of global warming and global cooling, and we're about ready to enter a cycle of global cooling. However, I'm also predicting a cycle of global warming of the heart. Very important. Global warming of the heart, fueled by prayer and meditation, and living in a way that sanctifies all life. And so, I'm going to also play with a contradiction, at least to me it's a contradiction, and talk about kosher or kashrut. Most people think that has to do with eating certain kinds of animals. You know, for me, that's a little bit of a paradox because I've been a vegan for 45 years, and that doesn't sit too well with me, at least in terms of what I've been teaching. However, it does speak to a principle, which is moving towards something, moving towards a higher frequency, moving towards a higher way of being in the world. The original Garden of Eden teaching was a live food, vegan diet. Really not that complicated. Bereshit or Genesis 1:29. After the flood and the degeneration of humanity that brought the flood about, there was a dispensation that says, well, if you aren't really able to do the Garden of Eden diet, you can have a little bit of meat. And it's really better than cannibalism, which is what was going on overtly before the flood, among other things that are going on. So we have to kind of move that way. And human sacrifice moving into animal sacrifice. So when we see an evolution of consciousness, although it doesn't sound very good today, we're going to go back 4,000 years and we may get a different perspective of the evolution of human consciousness. The kashrut or kosher is a way of actually making it really, really hard to eat meat. And it's a very clear statement that this is not the Torah ideal. The live food vegan diet, as mentioned in the first dietary discussion, is the Torah ideal. However, people weren't as ready, and so it's like, how do we move towards the right direction? And if we really, to understand this, we have to have a more expanded view. Yes, we think the word kosher has to do with eating meat and so forth. And to meet contradiction, how can you eat in a way that creates holiness and sanctifies the world while you're creating death? There is a huge contradiction. However, people have to move in a way that they can move. And so I understand that we live with that paradox and we live with that contradiction as we move with it. And so kosher, in the way I'm talking about it, is how do we eat in a way that uplifts the web of life on the planet. And that takes us past all the rules about this way and that way, in terms of animals and what we call shahita, how to not kill animals. But the other point, before we move on to kind of a bigger picture, is indeed many of the leading rabbis, including the previous lead rabbi head rabbi in England and the head rabbi in Israel in 1935, Rabbi Isaac Cook, understood that they were moving in a certain direction, and also understood there wasn't really kosher anymore because the way animals were raised with cruelty, it eliminates pretty much the availability even of kosher animals. So it's like suddenly it's not really available because of the factory farming, which in the United States has 95% of animals are raised in factory farms. So it almost eliminates itself because animals aren't kosher if they're raised with cruelty. Now, I'm going to now expand this to what I call eco-spiritual kosher. And kosher, when we expand it, is a way of eating with purity. And a way of eating that creates purity and upliftment. Again, I'm talking about sanctifying how we eat, bringing holiness to how we eat. And so we expand that a little bit, and we see that when we move away from a meat-based diet and move actually to a vegan. Vegan's a new word. 1944 is when we heard the word vegan, but basically a plant-based diet. Many good things happen. We talk about the healing of the physical body. We talk about the healing of the spiritual body, healing the soul, of the soul. Tikkun haguf, in other words, and tikkun hanefesh. That's one clear thing. But we have to be very clear, that's not what kosher is about. Okay, yes, it's good, but kosher isn't about hygiene and eating healthily. It's really about eating in a way that uplifts consciousness. So it's easy to fall into hygiene and causing less pain and so forth, but really it is about expanding consciousness. And so we look also that when we go to a plant-based diet, we are preserving the resources of the planet, the water and the earth, okay, and really the air, okay. And we are doing service and charity. We literally, if the whole world went plant-based, there would be enough food to feed the whole world 7 times over. And that's about as high level of service and charity that you can expect. My goodness. And then non-cruelty to animals. Obviously, if you're not killing animals, you got non-cruelty to animals. So that's good. And we are uplifting the consciousness of the whole community. And in that process, when you're not killing, you're creating peace. And the most important, in a way, is we aren't eating to fulfill our cravings for meat or lust, and we're not eating to live. We're not living to eat. We're living to enhance our communion with the divine. And that's the key in truly understanding what I call eco-spiritual kosher, is eating in a way that uplifts, sanctifies the web of life, eating in a way that creates holiness in all that we do as it extends beyond eating into everything we do in our life. Can we bring the heavens down into the earth and create that global warming of the heart? May everyone be blessed that we eat and live in a kosher way that brings global movement of the heart. Amen.